Hi everyone, welcome to this Durban July 2020 betting preview. Well, can't wait for the big race. It's going to be very different to normal. Normally I'm in a crowded room with friends and family. We're busy shouting home the winner of the July. We do a big draw. But this year I'm going to be, well, I'll be at home with family, but just my own family, because of course we still got all sorts of strict rules, certainly here in South Africa at the moment. And I won't be watching the July as I normally do, but we're still going to do the draw. We'll handle it over Zoom. And I'm even thinking of doing a sort of a live stream with the people who would normally be at my place. So still going to have lots of fun. Can't wait to get into the betting. Must be honest, I haven't studied a lot of form, but that's why I've got these two guys in studio with me now, because I know they know their horse racing backwards. And I'm going to start at the top there and introduce. It's been a long time coming, making his debut on the Good for the Game, a YouTube channel. He has, of course, been on the Good for the Game forum for many, many years. And it's Alan Moscrop, a.k.a. Southpaw, on the Good for the Game forum, and also on Twitter, of course. Alan, great to have you on the show.
Yeah, evening, Brent. Evening, Jason. Good to be on the show. Really excited about the July this weekend. Obviously, a very different July with the lockdown and lack of crowds. So it's still big race, big excitement, and a great card as well. That's certainly got some fantastic features to support the main race.
Excellent. Well, we'll touch on those at the end, and I think we're going to definitely look to do a show later in the week where we'll certainly cover some of the other races and probably put a pick six together as well. So this one we'll focus on the July. Alan, just quickly on you. You're in the UK at the moment. Racing there, is that also behind closed doors, or are the crowds allowed to go?
Still behind closed doors at the moment. So they had all the big features recently at Ascot, and then they had the at Epsom, the Derby. So all behind closed doors. They had owners and all the trainers, etc., but still behind closed doors. I think it might be opening up later in August to the public, but yeah, it's same as SA at the moment.
Right, so let's go down to the bottom of the screen there at Jason Dedekind, aka Little Woozy. Jason's had a great record on the show. I think it was the Summer Cup winner, Tilbury Fort, if I'm not mistaken, that you took with some confidence a while ago, Jason, and generally the guys always value your opinions on the show. Good to have you on, and what have you been up to?
Yeah, good to be on the show, Brent. Thanks very much for the opportunity, and nice to be with Alan making his Good for the Game debut. And obviously, from a business perspective, I'm still in the sports betting game, running my own little consultancy now, helping guys out with business strategy, and just signed up with Virtual Sports guys to bring a product into South Africa. So, yeah, just trying to keep myself busy. Obviously, during this period, it's difficult to keep things ticking over, but you know, my nature is just that, just have a bit of fun, get the guys out there and get the enthusiasm back into whatever we're doing, whether it's racing, whether it's soccer. I mean, we're watching a bit of the EPL and all the rest of it, and you know, the guys playing that, the crowds, you know, even though they're not there, the guys playing the crowds in the background. It's all about creating the hype. And although the Vodacom Durban July will be behind closed doors, I've been watching a few podcasts already this week. John O'Snaith was on Neil Andrews' show. The guys are still very, very keen. Yeah. The guys are very, very hyped up. And it's a race that everybody wants to win. It's our premier race, and make no mistake, everybody's going to be there on Saturday that's allowed to be there, wanting to be in the number one box.
Excellent. Yeah, really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be excellent. Just to mention to everyone, I'm going to be covering Hollywoodbets odds tonight. If you do want to open an account with them, we've got a link in the description box. Go down there and click on that. But certainly, guys, if you've got any prices anywhere else or whatever, feel free to mention. What we're going to do is go through the field horse by horse. We'll obviously spend more time on the ones that you guys fancy. But first, let's start, and I'll start with you, Jason. What does the Durban July mean to you? Maybe just share a memory from one of the past years that you'll always let's say, look back on fondly, or maybe not so fondly, if it was a case of losing on an objection or something like that.
Well, let's not touch on Wiley Hall, but yeah, I remember that very fondly, and Waiho outside the Stop Henry Steward's room. So, yeah, I mean, I've been being a Durban boy. I think that July has always been close to my heart. I mean, I was born across the road from Greyville Racecourse, having worked for Gold Circle and been there working for them during July days. It's a race that, you know, everybody who's anybody comes to in terms of owners. The guys always just, you know, when you're buying your yearlings, you're strategizing to win races of this magnitude. I mean, one of my earliest memories, obviously, Bush Telegraph winning with a low weight, a colt. You know, some of the horses, dynasties. There's just too many to mention in terms of quality of the races. But you know, it's a race day. You either go there and have a bit of fun. In previous years, or you went there to actually make a bit of money. And most of the time I went there to make a bit of money. I've been lucky enough to back a few winners on the undercard. Always looking at the July gallops, the horses that sort of gallop with the main contenders, and you find them in the other races. And I think there's one or two that I've seen that galloped with the July horses on the undercard that could provide a bit of value on Saturday.
So we're looking forward to hearing more about those as well. Alan, we're going to kick off with you, but first of all, from a July point of view, your fondest memory of the July and what it means to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a huge fan of racing from underage kind of punting on my friend's dad betting account, and back in the day, and used to drag my friends out to Greybull for the July when we were like 18, 19, 20. All my friends didn't really follow horse racing. I had to drag them out with a promise of a winner or two to pay for the nightclub afterwards, the bonkers, the retros, etc. I think best memories, Teal 1994, I think was my first real decent winner. It was 94, 95 in the July, that little horse. More recently, Power King, about three years ago, also on an objection. It held the race after an objection. So just for me, it's always the highlight of the racing season. I tend to kind of hold back a bit a couple of weeks beforehand just to get ready for the July. So yeah, really, really excited for this weekend.
And then our paths
must
have crossed.
In the post as well. Sorry,
I'm just saying, Alan and my path must have crossed, because I used to go to Bonkers from Sunday night through to Saturday night, and then obviously after the July, the Bonkers after party was the only party I used to frequent. So I mean, we probably bought a few shooters for good old may he rest in peace, Jimmy Horton and co.
Yes, my wife will kill me for saying this, but she lived at Bonkers. She knew the owners really well, so you probably know her, definitely, I think. Okay,
yeah. Well, I lived there. My best mates were the barman there, and Mark Watson, obviously Jimmy's stepson. He was still growing up when I was in my 20s, and he was barman there. So I know the family very well too.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll know the name if I give it to you.
I must be honest, I'd never heard the name Bonkers, but I certainly know that now. Obviously, it doesn't exist anymore, guys.
No, unfortunately, a couple of years ago, or going back about 10 years ago, they had to redo it. The hotel, it was an underground little pub in Florida Road, not far from the racecourse. It was, like I say, I mean, I lived there. My parents knew if they couldn't get hold of me, they just drove there and found me.
Excellent. Well, let's get into the races, and I'm going to start off with your horse number 1. That's Golden Ducat at 25-1 there at Hollywoodbets, trained by Eric Sands here. Jason, let's start with you. Any chance for this one?
It would be nice if we knew who was riding him. I think that's a critical thing in terms of Golden Ducat. It came with a lot of hype when it finished third behind, got the green light. Didn't quicken past. I mean, it was a little bit headstrong during the race. So you can give it another chance. I just wish we knew who was riding it. There's a lot of talks on social media about, because obviously, a lot with the jocks not being able to travel as much as they could. They are businessmen. In my head, they should be allowed to travel, but that's another thing for the NHA to sort out. He's carrying 53. So unfortunately, the jockey pool in KZN right now to ride 53 is a bit, I won't say limited, but it's a small pool. So Eric Sands has said that he's going to come out on Wednesday and name the jock. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who gets the ride. There's talk about apprentice Jason Gates. There's a few others, but obviously the owner, Mr. Rattray, has got the 1 and the 2 in the race, and he's 87 years old now, is Mr. Rattray, and he's never won the July. So I think Golden Ducat, if he gets a decent jock, a jock that knows how to settle a horse, because I think that's what this horse needs, can run into quartets. I'm not going to be sticking him in the pick 6, unfortunately. I just think that got the green light, really pulverized him last time out. But having said that, the form speaks for itself too. Third run after arrest, a lot of hype about the horse. But for me, I'll be waiting to Wednesday to see who jumps aboard.
Alan, for you, this one?
I haven't got him in my feature for the top 4. Again, same concern as Jason. No jock named yet. So good to know that it's going to be named tomorrow. That was just a big question mark for me. I think held by Got Green Light. I think held by and Padre Pio as well from that same form line. I looked at the Cape Derby form line. Not the strongest. since then. So that's a bit of a question mark for me from that that last win. Obviously, well bred, half brother to Awam and Rainbow Bridge. I mean, amazing mare that's produced those 3 horses. But for me, not haven't got it for the top 4.
Well, let's move on to number 2 then. Rainbow Bridge, trained by the same trainer, and here we've got one that's right up there in the betting, Alan. We got a 4-1 on Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, I think it's for me it's the horse to beat. It's a huge runner. No questions about the track. Loves the track. No questions about the trip. I mean, obviously he's been caught late in a couple of these extended distance runs in the Met and in the July. Warren Kennedy. I mean, obviously he's had an amazing season. So he's the. I guess he'll get the jockey's title in a couple of weeks' time. So. I mean, for me, the horse to beat, massive chance.
Right, Jason?
Yeah, I concur with Alan there. I mean, definitely the horse to beat. I saw a little bit of 7-2 this afternoon, so if it's drifted out to 4-1, I think a lot of punters will still be getting on. I see the guys, the East Coast radio presenters down in KZN have joined forces with Hollywood. They're doing a nice promo on social media, and Darren Moore, the East Coast radio DJ, he's tipped Rainbow Bridge. So I just said to him, why are you jumping on the favorite bandwagon? You can't fault this horse. I mean, won very easily last time out, but had the run of the race. It's all going. I think the draws are going to come into play massively in this year's July. Rainbow Bridge has got the run of the race. There can't be any excuses for this horse if he doesn't pull it off. He's got everything in his favor. He's got the informed jockey. Champion elect. He's got the good draw. He's got the form. Definitely the horse to beat, and definitely an inclusion in all bets.
Right, let's stay with you, Jason, and move on to horse number 3 as a Padre Pio, and here we got a much bigger price, 40-1.
Yeah, Brent, we're not going to touch on too many of the horses that are not that I give this horse no chance. Obviously on its last run behind got the Greenlight's got to come into the play. Dennis Bosch, great for him to have a runner in the Vodacom Durban July, and Magudla gets the ride. I think this horse has to improve to be really, really up there with the best. Out of there, got the green form line. I think got the Greenlight has the most scope to finish well in a race like this. I think the distance, nothing wrong with Padre Pio. I think he's going to be up there and make a horse like Silvano's Pride to put on a good gallop, but not for me in the top 4, not even the top 6.
Right, Alan, has this one hit your shortlist at all?
No, I think for me, I think the last 2 runs, good runs. I think he was allowed to kind of dictate the pace. He was allowed to have it easy up front, and that's not going to be the case in the July. We know that. He's going to have a whole lot of horses right on his heels if he's anywhere near the front. So for me, probably just falls a bit short at this top class right now. But he's a good sort, but not, again, same as Jason. Probably not featuring for me in my shortlist.
Well, let's stay with you and go into another long price winner. Let me not call it a winner yet. 33-1 at Hollywood. Miyabi Gold. Was that a Freudian slip?
Yeah, I haven't looked too much at this horse, but I did used to follow her about a season ago, and I remember backing her for I think it was I don't know what race it was. It might have been one of the big fillies features, and I thought she was going to run a big race, and she disappointed. She's a bit in and out for me. I think the last win was obviously pretty comfortable. I'm not sure that she beat that much. Maybe up against the boys is probably going to be a tough ask. Good galloping weight, 52 on the back. It's a really light mass. Good draw. So I just don't know what her running style is, to be honest. I don't know if she stays at the front or if she comes off the pace. She's done it all different ways throughout her career. So I just can't really put my finger on her. So at the moment, not looking to put her in the mix.
Jason, I saw you nodding a bit there.
Yeah, I haven't put her into the mix either. But, I mean, Alan, I think the horse, it's quite versatile. I would, I'm not going to say this is going to be a Gold Cup horse, but it's a type of race that I would throw into maybe this year or next year. Having said that, you're 100% right. Didn't beat much last time out, but 52 kgs on the back, ran 5th in this race last year with the same weight as a 4-year-old. If you're looking for wider quartets and that, then throw her in. But Justin, when I listened to John O'Snaith earlier today, he did say that the mare should be there and thereabouts, but it would be quite a tough ask. He's happy with the jock, he's happy with the draw, he's happy with the weight. We just don't know if the horse is up to the class of a horse like Rainbow Bridge, Do It Again, and the up and coming sorts like Belgarion and that. So, you know, if you're going to go wide in your quartets, if you're going to play more than say another 6 to 8 horses, if you like I've floated 2 horses with 8 horses. If you're going to go wider than that, stick it in. But yeah, not for me this year.
We will have Jason's quartet up at the end of the show, so you can have a look at that one. But Jason, I'm going to stay with you for horse number 5, Soqrat at 12 to 1. I think it was 12.5 to 1 when I last looked, 25 to 2. Interesting
runner. You know, this horse has always just been there and thereabouts. There's always been talk that he's a miler. Gravel, short running. It all depends on the pace of the race. I mean, how quick they're going to go. And you know, you just look at the way when it finished behind Zilzal in the Summer Cup. This horse was flying on the outside. Mark de Kock wouldn't put this horse in the race if he didn't think it had a chance. Callum Murray, top class rider. I really rate Callum. Good draw. I think this could be the lurker of the others, if of the Joburg brigade as such, because you know Hawam, if this had stayed in the country and was in this race, would be right up there with Rainbow Bridge. Probably be a favourite again, even though it's all about the hype. You know, Hawam, they still say hasn't beaten anything of note, but you know, I wouldn't mind owning Hawam with the record that that horse has got and the potential that it's got. So, you know, Soqrat's always just been there and thereabouts. You know, finished second to Rainbow Bridge back July last year. Finished 4th to Do It Again. You know, over distance just short of this. I think if the right Soqrat comes to the racecourse on Saturday, he'll be right there.
Right, Alan, I know you got an opinion on this one.
Yes, a slightly influenced, but a bit of an anti-post interest in this one. You know, we found 66 to 1 on the day that he ran behind Hawam in that last run. So at that point, that was just based on the fact that I'd watched the Mike de Kock interview, and he was saying that Hawam was, you know, the Sheikh wanted to get Hawam overseas, so Soqrat was likely to be the July runner. So for me, I just think with this lockdown, you know, what the stables benefited from is a lot more focus from, you know, Mike de Kock. He's a huge trainer, he's a maestro, and you know, normally this time of year he's out and about having to, you know, buy horses. He's been in Dubai for a little while. He'd normally be in the UK, perhaps got a runner out here as well. Yeah. So he's been quite focused, I think, for the stable. And I also wonder kind of what path this horse would have taken if Hawam wasn't in the stable. You know, it's kind of would have been prepped a little bit differently for some of the races. So for me, it's a big runner. I think, you know, maybe the pace is a key for him as well. That, and then what Jason said about that run behind Zilzal in the Summer Cup. I mean, that was on the half-hour 2,000 meters, and he was finishing like a steam train. You know, I think 20 more yards and he wins. So yeah, and maybe try not to be influenced by the early bet, but you know, 12 to 1. If you can maybe get 14 to 1, to me is a good each way punt for this race. You know, he's obviously got he's the Joburg horse against the good Cape horses, and it's on the day whether the Joburg horse is going to be fitter than the some of the Cape horses as well. So probably just behind some of them in terms of their current form, but on his day, I think he can win this.
Excellent. Well, you say don't be influenced by the anti-post, but I'm very much in your camp here, Al, because I followed you on that. I think I ended up getting 55 to 1 or 60 to 1 on this horse as well. So I'm very much interested in how Soqrat goes on July Day. Jason?
I think Alan hit the nail on the head. Yeah, very much so. I think GX, can I borrow some of your bet there if anybody wants to hedge a few? No, listen, I think Alan hit the nail on the head. I think Mark's always involved, make no mistake. But this year, you know, it's a very different year. It's the first year that Matthew's not in the country. He's in Australia. So, you know, there's a lot of different things about the de Kock yard. Mark's also taken a more prominent role with the RA, you know, these different committees that are trying to save racing and that. So, you know, you've got a very committed Mark de Kock in racing, and, you know, you leave this horse out at your peril.
Excellent. Well, let's move on to the next horse. It's ridden by a top jock here, Anton Marcus. It's Twist of Fate, currently priced at 20 to 1, Alan.
Oh, Aldo de Meyer is riding Twist of Fate, trained by Adam Marcus.
Oh, sorry, am I reading it wrong there? Sorry. Oh, yes. Yeah. What am I looking at? Oh, the trainer. Okay, yes. Yeah, sorry.
No, Twist of Fate was my pick last year. I think you ran third in the race. You know, it was a good effort. He just tied in the last 200 meters. I'm not quite sure he's the same horse as last season. I think he showed up well in the Met. I think that was a good run, 4th behind One World. To me, just not quite. I'm just a bit concerned he hasn't trained on as a 4-year-old as much as a 3-year-old. Hasn't won for a while as well. Obviously, been running in good company. I heard. Maybe Jason, you know more than this. I heard that he was putting up some good work against these stablemates, the more fancy stablemates. I'm not sure. But to me, I haven't quite got him in my top few at the moment, just because I just think there's others in slightly better form than he has, and perhaps he's not getting those wins that he was last year.
Jason, you in agreement there?
Yeah, total agreement. Adam Marcus obviously got 2 horses in the race, Twist of Fate and Vardy. Twist of Fate, he's gone on record as saying is probably the best workhorse in his yard, where Vardy is probably the worst workhorse in his yard. So, guys that watch the gallop with Craig Zaki with the head cam, Twist of Fate was in total control against Vardy in the gallop, but Adam's come on record in the press this week and said, read nothing into it. Vardy is a better racehorse, obviously on race day. Twist of Fate, for me, they get to put the blinkers on here now, obviously trying to sharpen him up. Last 2 starts just seemed to plod. He should have beaten Gigi's Dynasty. He was odds-on favourite when he came back, but obviously only at about 50-60% ready to race, with this race in mind. And he's just always there and thereabouts behind the better horses. I do think 2-2 is really, really stretching him. I think he ran above his rating last year in the Vodacom Durban July when he finished 3rd to do it again. I thought that was a fantastic run because I couldn't have him. But having said that, Adam Marcus is a phenomenal trainer. It's a phenomenal racing family, that Basil and Glenn, who also works in the sports betting game. Twist of Fate for me, if you want to go wide, throw him in, but I really prefer the stable companion.
Right, let's go on to horse number 7, Jason, and stay with you. Shango, 16-1.
There's been a lot of talk about this horse. Obviously Lyle Hurtson was mentioned to ride, got the green light, and then had to fulfill his obligations, obviously, to Mr. Terry and Mr. Finikirk, who paid the retainer. But Shango is, one of those horses that can pop up. He's had a lot of a big reputation up here on the Highveld, but a lot of the talk is about that he hasn't really been not as fit as he wanted to, but maybe a bit soft. And Lyle was saying that he's been doing a lot of work on him now at Summerveld. He's been doing all the riding on him, and he's very, very happy with the horse. So, you can't leave Sean Terry out on these big days. He'll come and spook you. And I think Shango, I won't say I'll be having a bet at him, but definitely a horse you've got to throw into the quartet and into pick sixes.
Adam, what's your opinion on this one?
Yeah, Brent, I have had a bet on him. I had an anti-post bet on him at so when the article came out about Lyle not taking the ride and got the green light, it was 40-1 on Shango. So it hadn't been confirmed that he would take the ride, but didn't take a rocket science to figure out that Lyle's been riding for the Terry Yard, and the Terry Yard's been really good to Lyle as well. So to me, that was a sign that in the coming days that he would take the ride, and he has. So I'm on for him 40-1. I'm not super strong on him. It's not a big bet, but he, to me, is a horse that perhaps there's more to come. He's got a low mass, got a good draw, and pleasing to hear that Lyle's doing a lot of work on him. I mean, that's a good sign. Probably wants a fast pace. I mean, I didn't realize that myself looking at some of his replays, but based on a lot of the comments that I've seen, that they think the stable is saying that he needs a decent pace to bring the best out of him. And he's obviously ran second in the Derby, so the trip shouldn't be a concern. So to me, I've got an interest in him. I don't think he'll finish in front of Soqrat, in my view, but I think he could be a decent place chance.
Right, let's go on to horse number 8, 40-1 year, Capoeira.
I have not had much interest in looking at this horse so far. I haven't read. It's one of the ones that I've kind of left to the very end of kind of my.
I hope you don't hear the name. You hope you don't hear the name down the home straight.
Yeah, and I guess I know the owner's got another one in the yard who I actually do fancy for a bigger run. So maybe we'll talk about him later on. But this one, I think the last run was a bit of an upset win a couple of weeks ago. I just don't know too much about the horse. Just looking at the form lines, it seems to run against decent types, but I just, at the moment, haven't done enough studying on this particular one to really give it a yes or no.
Jason?
Well, a supplemented ride on that at the end. Obviously, it beat Nexus. Nexus was touted to be one of the better bets on that day in the Cup trial. And Capoeira was allowed to just steal it at the top of the straight at Scottsville. You got to get to the front quickly, and it was a great ride by Gavin Larena for Mr. Nell. So you haven't got Gavin Larena up by this time, and no disrespect to Mr. Godden, I do think that this horse has got more to do. If you go back in its form lines, run against Hawam, Head Honcho, Belgarion, so it's run against some of the top horses. But is it in the class of those horses? I don't think so.
Right, well, let's go on to the next one. Horse number 9, Vardy, priced here at 10-1. Now, I've had a sneak peek of your bets there, Jason, so I know you've got a favourable opinion on this one.
Yeah, Vardy is my first selection in the race, and make no mistake, this is a very open Vodacom Durban July. You got to go for the value. I like the fact that this horse is drifting out. The Marcus stable is not a punting stable, so you don't read anything into where their horses are priced up. Third run after arrest. That run in second behind Rainbow Bridge. I just keep watching that replay. I just keep watching. And just like Alan said about Soqrat in the Summer Cup, that was Vardy on the 28th of June. Another 50 meters, this horse wins by a length, coming up the outside rail. He's not an easy ride, so Craig Zaki, that's why they've just kept one jock on him. He's got a good relationship with the stable that does Craig, but he's got an excellent rapport with Vardy, and he rode to instruction, back of the field, small field. They skip clear at the top of the gravel straight in a small field. You're not going to catch them. But I'm glad it's drawn 9. I didn't want, obviously a little bit wider would worry me, but in the middle of the pack, I think Craig can place this horse in the top sort of 8 to 10. And then I think there's going to be a decent pace, because obviously Justin Snaith has got 5 in the race. I think there's going to be a decent pace, and I think this horse won the Queen's Plate. Last year, the stable wanted to put it into the bigger races, but thought no, it's going to mature. It's going to be a better 4-year-old, and they've been vindicated. So they've come here with a mission, and I make Vardy the horse to beat.
Right, and 10-1, certainly a nice price. As you say, Jason, one thing that struck me, and I'm not that close to the horses anymore like I used to, but just when I looked at the betting, it really is a wide open July. Alan, is Vardy a big danger?
Before the last run, I think this horse was about 5-1 in the anti-post betting, and to me that was looking a terrible. Wasn't looking a great price. He's since run that second behind Rainbow Bridge, and as Jason said, it was running on well at the end. So 10-1 to me is the right sort of price for this. It's value for this horse, based on his form last year. Obviously that Queen's Plate Met was incredible. The Queen's Plate win was incredible. The Met run again, I don't know what quite happened. I do have a little bit of concern on the breeding on the trip. Out of VAR, I don't know too many VARs that are in the 2,000 meter plus 2-2 category. Hopefully there's an obvious one that I've missed there. But so a little bit of a concern over the trip for me. But I think the stable are going to have him spot on for this race. I think he'll be cherry ripe, and 10-1. That's a decent price.
Right, well, we've talked about some fairly big prices, but this is the biggest I think we've chatted about so far. And Alan, I'll stay with you. Divine Odyssey, 50-1. Anything here?
I thought he had, I think last year I had this horse as an outsider. So I think last year would have been his best chance in this race. As a 5-year-old now, I'm not quite sure. It's going to take some doing as a 5-year-old, about to turn 6 to win this race. To me, good win last time out, back to some form. But I think last year was his best chance. I can't have him this year.
Jason, can we skip past this one?
I've stuck him in the pick 6 just for a bit of, you got to look at the bottom of the boards now and again. And I hear what Alan's saying, but this horse finished 8th last year, third fastest 400 to finisher. One last time out, 3rd run after arrest. Johan Janssen van Vuren spending a lot of time down in KZN. He's actually dating my cousin down there. So I just think this horse off 53 kgs, if anything can win this race, there's no reason this horse can't win this race in my head. Yes, it's run against horses that maybe aren't in the same league, but it's run against Soqrat, better off at the weights. Like I said, he's running off the same weight as he carried last year. So for lurkers, there's others I'd leave out. for me, I'm sticking him in. I don't know why, but I can't put the finger on exactly why I'm doing it, but something just says to me, throw him in.
Right, yeah, you got to go with your gut feel sometimes. Let's move on to horse number 11 here. Jason, I'm going to leave the pronunciation up to you, and it's 25-1.
Tierra del Fuego. I think that's how you say it. Gavin Lorena for Sean Terry. Gavin's ridden this horse last 2 starts when finishing behind Hawam. Also, 3rd run after arrest. You know, when I was still working for Pumalela and that, and on racetracks, there was always talk about this being a July horse, even when as a 2-year-old and you know, early 3-year-old career. And you know, there's nothing wrong with the form lines here. It's run behind Cirillo. You know, Warriors Rest was also a decent 3-year-old. Social Order. I think this horse could be a lurker. I do think I'm going to put it in the pick 6. Am I confident that he's going to beat Vardy? No. But like I said, Sean Terry, you leave out its peril. Everything points to 3rd run after arrest. A skid skizzle, you know, a decent sire. There's the Awam form lines. We're talking about Soqrat and Awam. This horse, same sort of lengths back at level weights. Yeah, you got to throw it in. Gavin Lorena, Sean Terry.
Right, Alan, I see you nodding there.
Yeah, I think it's just purely for the jock and trainer combo there. I mean, both for the big days like this, you have to keep them in. Obviously, this horse went on, and it climbed up the ranks pretty quickly toward the back end of last year and earlier this year. You know, it had a great run of form, and then it started hitting the kind of the big graded races. You know, not good runs behind Hawam. I think the trainer has said, like, you know, on breeding, it shouldn't be a 2,200 meter horse, but they seem to be surprised that he seems to be staying on, no problem in these big races. So you just have to keep it in for the combination. You have to keep it in your selection. It's definitely one for the pick 6 and quartets.
Right, let's move on to horse number 12. It's My Turn, priced at 33-1. Alan.
Yeah, it's obviously had a long break, this horse. I think he must have had some sort of injury or some sort of issues. Obviously won the Gold Cup last year, so staying, no problems with the distance, that's for sure. I watched that run a couple of times a week or so ago. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, the stable seemed very happy with it, but obviously it was a first run over a decent, or second run after the long layoff, but over a decent trip. Yeah, I think obviously it's a shame they've had the issues with it. It's a 7-year-old. Can it win? For me, I haven't quite got it in there. I think it's nice to see that the owner's got a runner in the July. I'm not sure he's won it yet, unless I'm mistaken. So yeah, I just haven't got him in the. Maybe it's a really wider perm in the pick 6, but not top 4 for me.
Jason.
Not for me. There's been a lot of talk in the media this week too. I know the media got to talk about most of the horses and create stories and that. And some are saying it's his turn, and play on words and all the rest of it. But for me, this was champion stay for 2 years. I like its 2 comeback run, no problem there. I won't talk anybody out to throwing it into quartets and that. But I think this 7-year-old, almost 8. A lot to do to turn it over on some of the bigger guns.
Right, let's move on to one of the more fancied horses now. We've already touched on him a couple of times talking about form lines. Got the Greenlight, horse number 13, currently priced at just over 7-1. Jason?
Joe Soma is probably one of the most charismatic men in racing, and he makes no bones about the fact that he wants to win this race. I mean, as do everybody, but Joey really, really deserves a big race. 3rd run after arrest, won in facile fashion last time out. I know it was form line and he says a length and a half, but nobody was going with it. It was a very good ride by Bernard Fade Herb. Muzieni, no slouch. Obviously a little bit under sufferance at the weights as are all the 3-year-olds. But having said that, the way that this horse quickened and moved past some decent horses. I mean, we're talking about the likes of the Shangos and a few others in this race. Out of that form line, this is a horse that they've all got to beat. 3rd run after arrest, you can't leave this horse out.
Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, this horse has got an incredible turn of foot. It's really going to get a great chance on Saturday. 2 visits to Greyville, 2 wins. And I think trainer, as Jason said, trainer said on record they've been targeting this race with this horse. So I think it's obviously the jockey change. I'm not sure if you can see it as a negative. I think Miyabi is a great rider. He knows the track inside out, and the reasons for Hewitson moving ride is that's just one of those things. So yeah, massive runner for me. If it gets a clear run, I think he's definitely going to be right there.
Right, Alan, we'll stay with you then. Another well-fancied horse, Bunker Hunt, at just over 8-1.
Yeah, so this is another horse I've been following for a while. I had it as as my Met pick in January. He did, I think to me he ran a good race in. I think he did. He ran, was it fifth? And then the last time out, I think I tipped him on Good for the Game. He was 10-1. He was unfancied in the Drill Horse Stakes, and it's a trip well short of his best, I think. And he won with ease. I think obviously there was quite a few of them that needed the outing in that race. So it's I'm not taking too much from it, but to me it's just a horse that I know the stable have always rated him really highly, and he just looked well. And I think I'm putting him in there as one to potentially run into the trifecta. To me, he's one who I know he's probably not the one that the obvious Snaith runner that for most would look at, but for me, I like to look around a bit in the yard, and to me, I think he, with so many runners from that yard, to me, he's actually could be the better pick for me in that from that stable.
Excellent. But before we get Jason's opinion on that, just to mention, Alan, of course, does post on the Good for the Game forum. I will put a link to this week's horse racing thread, which, of course, covers the Durban July, in the description box below. So you can go and click on that link. There will be a number of horse racing punters sharing their tips leading into the weekend, but also on race day itself. And we've certainly got the likes of Kevin Turner posting there as well, some really good posters. So go and have a look at that. But, Jason, let's get your opinion on Bunker Hunt.
Alan and I have been in the same camp for most of the first 13 horses. I hate to break the partnership here, but I can't see Bunker Hunt winning. I really don't. I think 2,200 meters is too far for this horse. 1,600 meters is its bundle. Second run after arrest also, obviously they didn't want to get another penalty. They didn't get a penalty for winning the drill, which was surprising, but they got a penalty for running fifth in the Met, which, a lot of the Jono was quite smiling today when he was doing Neil's podcast. I really don't think Bunker Hunt's in the league of these other horses. Only positive for me is the fact that he's got Grant van Niekerk in the irons, drawn 14, horse that hasn't really shone. I think his best run for me has been sort of the second to a Walm, but also just plodding on, receiving weight. He's finished third to Twist of Fate, who we said earlier might make it the place and all the rest of it. I'm not going to say it can't win, because that's when you get egg on your face. But for me, it's one of those horses as a bookmaker I'd be laying. Excellent.
Let's go. We'll stay with you, Jason. Horse number 15, Silvano's Pride, 40-1.
The pacemaker in the race. The 4-year-old filly. Obviously, it's a week before they turn 5, or the horses' birthdays. Jono went on record today saying that he thinks this horse will jump across and go and set the pace. Obviously, they're not gonna sacrifice anybody. So Silvano's Pride will run the race to suit herself and obviously her connections. But they say this horse is going to go at the top of the straight. And he actually said if they give her too much start, she's not going to stop. She's a relentless galloper. I haven't thrown her into anything, but having said that, she is one of those horses that can make your quartets pay. And if they let her dictate and get away a little bit too easily, she's going to be hard to peg back. So I haven't included her, but I wouldn't talk anybody else anybody out of having one a little each way bet. And one thing good with Hollywood, and I know a few other bookmakers do offer it, but we are talking about Hollywood right here. First 6 places, I'd definitely be having a little nibble on the first 6.
Excellent. Alan?
Yeah, I think obviously likely to be setting the pace in the race. I think what I've seen in the July in recent years is that sometimes when they turn for home, there's 4 or 5 or 6 of them can slightly break away from the rest of the field. Yeah. And if she's up there, she is a real strong galloper, and she could certainly hold on for a place. I'm not sure that that's going to happen in this year's race, but I probably agree with Jason. You can't leave her out. I mean, she's there on her own merits, and they aren't going to let the horse not run its own race, especially for the owner as well. So yeah, I'd probably keep her in there. She's a strong filly.
Excellent. Well, let's move on to the next one. A big price, horse number 16. So race is a bit of a commentator's nightmare, if you ask me, and it's me. You're not following the horses that closely. I'm seeing some of these names for the first time. Alan, Camphoratus, is that correct?
Camphoratus, yeah.
Camphoratus, right.
I can see this. You mentioned Kevin Turner. From the forum, I can see this being a sort of price horse. So he's been in great form, by the way. The last couple of weeks, he's been putting in some huge price.
And he loves the big prices, eh?
He does. He makes my picks look like odds on. He takes some huge.
Yeah, and you're known for your double figure feature race winners.
Yeah, I think he took this horse last time out actually to run a decent race in the certainly run each way in the betting world. I think the yard had a decent winner on the weekend in a feature was it Greyville or Scottsville? Wasn't following the race too closely, but I think the hill they had a decent winner, didn't they? In
Scottsville. I think it was Scottsville, Greyville.
Yeah. So I think the stable's in good nick. I think she ran. She seems to have run some decent races. I think I remember watching that Summer Cup race, and she didn't really run it anywhere near the places, but she came from a ridiculous position in the race, in the top half at least.
Yeah, she was the fastest 400 to finish her.
Yeah. So she's, I think if it's a sort of horse you can see hooking out wide as they turn for home and just powering up on that outside rail. So I'm not too sure what to make of her, but promising for anyone that fancies her. That the yard seems to have maybe hitting a bit of form.
Well, Kevin Turner, no doubt you'll be watching this. We'll be watching your posts with interest on the forum to see if you come up with something similar. Jason, anything else to add on this one?
Yeah, it ran 6 last year in the race, so you got to give it respect. Probably deserves its place in the field. Held by Belgarion on the Greyville 1900 run. I can't see this horse shaping at all.
Right. Well, let's. You mentioned the horse now, Belgarion, and here we are. Horse number 17, currently at Hollywood, the 4-1 joint favorite.
Yeah, 6 wins out of 8 starts. Can't fault it. The Snake Yard have made no bones about the fact that they've been aiming this horse at this race. They said they could have run it in the Met and the Queen's Plate, but then obviously the penalties come into. They're very key in strategy in terms of how they place their horses are the Snake stable. And Jono went on record to say today that this is its mission for the season, and it'll run in the Met and that next year. He said he can run in the Met 2-3 years time. It's such a healthy, fit, strong horse. Healthy respect for it, carrying 53 kgs. This is a 4-year-old, almost 5 now. Second run after the race is always a worry for me. But, the horse for me has to up its game purely on paper. But just listening to the comments, having a look at the horse in the flesh, looking at the gallop, a worthy favorite, a worthy joint favorite with Rainbow Bridge. I think if this horse was drawn in the top 6, you'd probably find this at about 5-2, 3-1, and Rainbow Bridge maybe 5-1. But the draw definitely playing a part in the bookmaker's price. Like I said, its biggest test to date, light mass. Richard Farich chose to stay on this horse. He did say that if Anton couldn't ride Do It Again, he would happily ride Do It Again because he loves the horse, obviously, winning last year. But he's on Belgarion, and I think the Snake stable are very bullish.
Right, Alan, your comments on this one?
Yeah, I just look at my notes actually. As Jason was speaking, very similar things. Just handicap well protected was one of my notes. I think the whole, obviously the stable have looked after this horse's merit rating, so that I think it's well weighted to go into this race. I think the Betting World 1900 has been a good marker for the July in recent years. So you won that comfortably last time out. Obviously the wide draw is a concern. I think that to me is a concern. It's and also kind of a big field like this. And I think that could be it's going to be his sternest test for sure. But obviously worthy joint favourite, and obviously the stable will be targeting this race for a long time. So yeah, it must go into all trifectas and quartets.
Well, let's move on to horse number 18, Do It Again. I did say that Anton Marcus was riding another horse earlier, but I see Anton Marcus, Alan, is on Do It Again, currently priced at just over 8-1.
For a horse 8-1, I don't want to say to me, I just can't see this horse winning. I just think the form has tailed off a little bit. Now I know the yard are going to have him absolutely in the best shape possible. And with Marcus aboard, you can't write him off. But I just don't think he's running with the same sort of enthusiasm, or he's just not finding the same sort of sparkle that he was a year ago. So I could be proved wrong. Again, don't want egg on my face, as Jason said, but I just can't see it. To me, I just think that other horses who are in better nick or have a bit more scope then do it again. I'm saying that he's going to three wins in a row, and it'd be, definitely would be a fairy tale result for the yard and for the horse to do that. But I just can't see it happening at the moment. I just think this is a tough race. It's an open race, and just not for me to win. Probably put him in for a minor place at best.
Right, Jason, you were talking about word plays with It's My Turn. I imagine this one's had plenty of it as well with Do It Again. Can it do it again?
Listen, I hear what Alan's saying, and I agree. I think this horse probably on current form, just looking at black and white, should be about 10, 12, maybe 14 to 1. But if it was that price, it would be tremendous value. The draw is a major concern. Obviously, 18. I know some good horses have won from the widest gate. Take nothing away from that, but this Vodacom Durban July is wide open, and if this horse was drawn sort of 10 and that, I'd give it a definite winning chance. But they said the Cape Town form, there was something wrong with it, and they've found it, they've fixed it. So the third behind Rainbow Bridge, Anton never pushed the horse. He was very, very light on the horse. If you watch the replay, he really didn't crack it. He knew it was first run back, trying to just see where they were at with what was going on at home. So that's a very, very decent effort. I wouldn't have put this horse in had I not seen his gallop. To me, this was the best gallop by a country mile on Gallop Day last week. I thought this to me showed that Do It Again does still have a bit of zest for racing. It shows to me that the Cape Town season was just draw a line through it. Ignore this horse at your peril. I've said to about one or two other horses, but Jono said today, if this horse doesn't win this year, he'll be back again next year trying to win it for a third time. So they are happy with the horse. They are happy to have Anton Marcus on top. They would like a better draw, as they would have liked with Belgarion, but unfortunately, it's just the way the draws worked. But I definitely think after the gallop, Do It Again became one of my top 4 selections.
Excellent. Well, let's sum the race up now. And Jason, let's start with you, because I know we've also got a few bets from your side as well. Talk us through the race. What sort of pace are we going to have? And then how do you see the finish panning out? We know you like Vardy. Which other horses are going to run into the top 4?
Well, I think, when you've got 5 horses in the race, it becomes a little easier for you to set the race up for your stable. Let's make no bones about the fact. I mean, Justin and Jonathan can go on record and say, they got to run the race to suit every owner and all the rest of it. But they know which horses are they're most likely to win. Silvano's Pride should definitely go out and set the pace. It's what suits the horse too, which is great. I see a few others just in behind her, ensuring that it's a good pace. Far too often these jocks just put the handbrake up, like they call the Cape Crawl, but in Durban you've got the Indian handbrake that goes up on when you go around by the mosque there. So I do think it's going to be a fair pace, and at the top of the straight, like Alan said, I think they're going to be about 10 wide at about the 500, because nobody wants to be left caught lagging in the Vodacom Durban July, which either pays one or two things. For the horses that are fit and ready to run on the day, they won't mind that. But if you've got any stamina doubts, you've got anything out there, if you caught wide at the sort of 800 meter mark to the 400, you're really running an extra couple of meters, and I see that happening at the top of the straight. I see Silvano's Pride in front. I see horses like Rainbow Bridge right on her tail, ready to pounce up the inside rail. I know that Warren likes to go up that inside rail. And then you got the horses like, if Soqrat's given it a nice patient ride, that'll be flying at the finish. Vardy will be coming up the outside rail, make no mistake there. I think, Craig Zaki, that's where they took him last time out, and I think that's where they point him. Like I said, he's quite a quirky horse. He has to be ridden cold, so that he'll be let loose very late in the race. That's why I want him to be up a little bit closer to the pace than maybe he was last time out. And then the likes of Belgarion and got the Greenlight. So I envisage a decent pace. I'm not going to say they're going to go like the clappers, as the commentators say, but I do envisage a decent pace. And I think horses coming from off the pace will be mowing them down.
Excellent. We know you like Vardy, horse number 9, priced at 10-1. Take us through your quartet here that you've given us, Jason.
Okay, I've gone Roving Bankers 2 and 9. Obviously, Rainbow Bridge. I really can't see that missing a place either, and a horse like Vardy. So I've floated 2 and 9, a Rainbow Bridge and Vardy, and I've thrown in horses 5 Soqrat. I did throw in 6 Twist of Fate, the 7 Shango, the 10 Divine Odyssey for a bit of a roughie. 11 is Tierra del Fuego, 13, 17, and 18, which has got the Greenlight, Belgarion, and Do It Again. That will cost you, I think, 672 Rand for a full unit. I'm a small punter. I like to just have an interest in that. So for the smaller guys out there, 67 Rand 20 will get you 10%. But if you wanted to take 2 and 9 with the field, obviously you've got a favorite and a mid-price horse, and you want to throw the whole field in, that bet will cost you 2,880 Rand. You want to take 10% of that, it's just a touch under $300, which is also affordable these days. So I expect 1 or 2 lurkers to run in the back end, but purely on form, purely on paper, I've gone Vardy, Rainbow Bridge, Do It Again, and then in no particular order, Soqrat, Belgarion, and got the Greenlight.
Excellent. Let's go to Alan for his wrap-up of the race. And any bets at this stage, Alan? I'm sure more will follow later in the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as Jason said, I think no one wants to be without a chance turning for home as you turn on the final bend at Greyville. I mean, it's amazing how this track changed once they put the poly track in.
Yeah,
I remember they were building the poly track. My wife's mother used to live across the road there. I went down for a couple of runs around the track and just realized how narrow the actual track has become. I think you're going to need a horse. What we've seen in the last few years, you need horses, unless something gets away, you need horses that don't mind a bumpy ride. They don't mind the kind of a real tough kind of pushing for a gap. They don't mind the hustle and bustle of a race of this nature where you've got 18 horses spread across a pretty narrow and short finish. So I think you're right. You can get people, jockeys standing wide as you turn for home. To me, I'm looking for Soqrat to be, somewhere around 5th, 6th, maybe up to like 8th. Turning for home would be perfect for me. I think, I'm hoping that's his sort of position that the jock gets him into. And then if he can get a clear run, I'm looking for a big run from him. Obviously, I've said Bunker Hunt, I think he can run a decent race. I'm hoping that he can also be in the mix as well. Yeah, and I think anything else for the Cape runners, the 2 Snaith runners, if they've got the pace set by the stablemate, obviously that will suit their runs. So you've got to have them in the mix as well. So to me, it's going to be a close finish. I've seen some odds on some of the, I think might have been Hollywoods in terms of the winning distance. I think this is a sort of race this year. It's going to be won by under a length. I can't see, it's going to be a tight finish for me this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting one indeed. Alan, we'll talk later in the week probably, and certainly you'll be on the forum with some of your other picks. But throw us a little something to tempt us on one of the other races.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, when it comes to the July card, you want to try and get a decent winner in the first few races because it kind of sets you up for the day. You kind of pay for the main race, and kind of pays for the beers and whatnot. So always try and find a decent price runner in the first couple of races. I think this year's card is obviously 10 races. I think normally a 12 race card. So you're into the features pretty early in the card this time around. But in the first, which I think there's only 2 races on the card on the poly track across 10 races. In the first race, there's a horse I like coming down from Gauteng, Dondevere. I think I pronounced that correctly. 16-1, I think is the current price. I just fancy this horse. I think just look at my notes here. He ran in the computer form. I think it was a good, decent run. He gets a decent weight here. I think he gets 2.5 kgs from the favorite is the Terry runner. I think Chimichurri Run, or certainly one of the fancy horses. Gets 4 kg swing from Sing for Rafa, which is the speedy filly in the race as well. So to me, it just feels like a decent price. I think it's a horse that is in good form, not coming down for a holiday. Definitely always respect the yard with their raiders. So 16-1 to start the card. Hopefully a good way to start the day.
Excellent. Well, I'll certainly be looking to get off to a good start. Now, I always enjoy following you boys on the forum, especially on a big race day like this. Jason, what have you got? As I say, we'll probably talk later in the week, but anything you got for us on the card that stands out for you?
Obviously, race 5, Caraluma, was 13 to 10, is now 9 to 10 with Hollywood. Big talk about this horse. Probably going to be a lot of people's pick 6 banker. I can't see her getting beat. Then, we were having a little bit of banter last night on the WhatsApp group, and obviously I like a bit of Sing for Rafa in the first race to stay in front of Don de Veer. I do think that the poly track will suit. So, 9 to 2 is a little bit skinny for me. I'll wait for the horse to drift maybe to 5, 6 to 1 and then have a little each way. I do know that just to also touch on what Jonathan Snaith said, because I know a lot of guys don't have the opportunity to listen to the other podcasts and that. He really likes his horse in the first, Captain Tatters. He really says that the horse to beat is Chimichurri Run. Obviously, weighted to win, being a pinnacle plate, Chimichurri Run. But he says Captain Tatters will be right there. I like a bit of the Spies coupling, Sing for Rafa, and Van Halen will be really mowing them down late. And then my each way for the day is in race 2. It's a horse called Stellar Act. This horse has finished I think third behind Caraluma last time out in the Debonair. And I just think I think 16 to 1 now. It's drifted from 12s to 16s. I think this is a good horse from the Kotson stable. There's been money for the stable companion like that loose for the 3A Racing Syndicate boys in KZN and Justin Vermaak and Ekwan Vermaak Ekwan. But I watched a little canter, a little gallop between the two, and for me, Stellar Act was going better. So the weight turnarounds, the fillies and the boys here. I think this is a big runner. Is the 2 Stellar Act at 16 to 1. But take nothing away from the 14 Vinici, been backed in from 2 to 1. I think it's about 13 or 14 to 10 now. Definitely the horse to beat, but drawn 14. I'm gonna chase it home with a well-drawn horse that comes off decent form lines, third run after a rest. I think that's my value for the day. And then just touching on one other thing that was said to me today, or that I listened to, race 9, number 4, Rio Carrari, very, very bullish from the Snaith stable. Horse has been backed in from 6s to 9 to 2. I saw at Hollywood earlier. They very, very bullish. They actually said this is probably their best runner on the card. And they actually said, no, we take the each way double into their horse in race 10. I'm just trying to find it here. Number 4, Crown Towers. They said those are probably 2 of their liveliest challenges at the price, because they were both priced up at about between 4 and 6 to 1 at various bookmakers. So just for the guys on the forum, please take note.
Any mention from the yard on Sleeping Single in the Garden Province?
Yes. Actually, yes. They obviously said that the 7 and the 13 horses to beat, Clouds Unfold and Celtic Sea. He said that Sleeping Single's form on paper maybe not, maybe not awe-inspiring, but if you're adding in a third horse in that pick 6, put it in.
Good, thanks, Jason.
That was the comment from Jonathan.
I must say, I wrote my Citizen article today, which goes out on a Thursday, and I just called it Durban July Fever. And I must say, I didn't expect to get so excited for this year's Durban July because of the whole fact that it wasn't on the traditional Saturday where I would normally watch the first stage of the Tour de France, and that everything. There was so much about that day and everyone there. But I'm really getting excited, and particularly the July, but also about the rest of the card. So looking forward to chatting with you guys a little bit later in the week about that as well. Alan, thanks very much. Great to have you making your debut on the show, and I'm sure we're going to have you on many times in the future. I know you're doing a bit of business travel tomorrow, so have a good trip.
Great, thanks, Brent. No, thanks. Been a privilege to be on the show. Nice chatting with you and Jason. Yeah, look forward to finding hopefully some decent prices on the undercard. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I think it's my best chance of making money because I haven't even tried to study form myself. I'm just following you guys this year because normally when I try on my own, things go horribly wrong. Jason, as always, lovely to have you on the show. We look forward to talking to you certainly about some golf in the future as well as we run into major season. But we'll catch up with you later in the week as well. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks very much, Brent. And Alan, thanks very much for being part of the show. Just one point of call. Never take a bet live on air with Brent because he doesn't pay up. So I'm glad there were no bets struck here. So just this point of note. Right. He still owes me a pie. I think he owes me a pie, Coke, a Gaviscon, burger,
I definitely owe you lunch and a beer, Jason. I must say, I do pay up. You can ask Oracle. I've lost 2 500 Rand bets to him in our rugby show, which I've got up there. That's live every Thursday night on our YouTube channel. And I can't beat this bug. I've lost 2 500s in a row. And unfortunately, the 500 is easier to pay. I'll have to use the lockdown as an excuse. I can't take you for lunch until the lockdown.
Why not? Well, I must be honest. And yesterday was Monday.
You can go to restaurants.
I found a restaurant yesterday.
Yes.
That was serving food and serving alcohol in Randburg on a Monday. But we won't tell anybody.
I was going to say, don't mention the name of that restaurant, please.
Yeah.
I'll have to edit the end of the show.
No, well, I saw some social media stuff about a couple of Fridays ago. One lady put on Facebook, thanks to a certain pub close to your house for sending out stellar food on a Friday night, and the Savannahs were a treat. And everybody just said to her, delete the post.
Delete it.
I'm sure the key there was big. But yeah, I mean, all good and well. It's been great chatting to you guys, and look forward to talking later in the week. Obviously, when the betting hots up, there's a lot of press going out there, a lot of podcasts. I know Hollywood's sort of thing. I think it's on the 23rd. Normally on Thursday. Normally Thursday night. They normally do their July party. I think they're doing it. They got Mark de Kock, Justin Snaith, Warren Kennedy. So it'll be. It's we can.
7 o'clock on Wednesday. I think that's 7 o'clock. World Sports Betting have got their one. They've
had one already. Yeah.
What I quite like, I don't know if other guys do it, but I quite like they stretch the price for like 1 minute. Like, for example, in a case like this, Vardy, they'd go 12-1 instead of 10-1, but you literally had 1 minute to put the bet on.
Well, that's a betting that it last year.
Yes, it's quite it's pretty good. In fact, I'm good mates with Hilton Hassan, who was on the show there for World Sports Betting. So I'm chatting to him, and we may do a little something on Friday night as well. Have a little bit of a further chat. But yeah, Ben, and of course, Clock the Gallop with Neil Andrews and Nico. I mean, that is going great guns, and they really do some quality stuff. I mean, we're a sports betting site first and foremost. 100%. There's really only a couple of races in the year that I get excited for, and this is definitely one of them. Alan, anything else from you before we knock off?
No, I think that's it for me. And obviously, I'll have a look at the undercard. Probably on the train into London tomorrow. Going to London for the day, for the night. But yeah, no, definitely look forward to chatting some more, and try and find some other sporting winners over the weekend as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone, and thanks for watching. You can go on to goodforthegame.co.za. We've got all our Durban July coverage, including the profiles supplied by Hollywood on each and every horse. Thursday night, live at 9 o'clock, we've got our main show, a rugby chat that matters. But we will have other Durban July shows and undercard shows coming up late in the week. So if you are new to our channel, do go down below this and hit the subscribe button. There's also some other useful links to the Good for the Game forum, and also to subscribe to our newsletter. But thanks, everyone, for waiting for a cracking July. The fever is definitely building.